Most rental property banking setups are a mess. Clunky spreadsheets, lost receipts, random fees. Baselane claims to simplify it all in one sleek platform. But does it actually deliver, or just look good on paper? I tested it out myself, and there's one feature I didn't even know I needed until it completely changed how I manage my rentals. Stick around, I'll show you exactly what that is. But before we get into what Baselane actually offers, let me tell you what I did first. I dug through every user review I could find. Because let's be real, the glossy website doesn't show you what actually breaks when real landlords start using it. And like always, I started with the worst reviews, because that's where the real issues tend to hide. And yep, I found one that raised an eyebrow. One landlord said the rental property bank account concept was solid, and some of the features were genuinely helpful. But then Baselane suddenly started holding his rent payments hostage until he sent in ownership proof and a lease, which, according to him, Baselane already had. Now, that sounds sketchy, right? But here's where I think some nuance matters. First of all, this wasn't a common complaint. It seems like a one-off account verification situation. Platforms like Baselane are still technically tied to banking compliance, so these kinds of requests, while annoying, are usually about fraud prevention. Not ideal, but not necessarily shady either. And here's what gave me more peace of mind. I found dozens of landlords who had the complete opposite experience. One landlord said he'd been using Baselane for almost 4 years, switching from manually tracking everything in Excel. And I totally get that pain. I definitely used to do the same thing. He said automating those mundane landlord tasks like rent collection was a total game changer for him. Another user said the only regret he had was not switching to Baselane sooner. And I could feel that one too. He said opening business accounts used to be a nightmare, and tracking expenses in spreadsheets was wasting hours and hours of his week. With Baselane, the whole process just got streamlined. Banking, bookkeeping, everything in just one place. Now, obviously, reviews are not gospel or anything, but after reading all this and having my own hands-on experience, I can say this. If that one negative review had me on edge, the overall 4.3 out of 5-star rating brought me back. Because when you see consistent praise from landlords managing both small and large portfolios with this business bank account for rental property, it tells you something. So, what makes Baselane different from all the other tools you've probably pieced together by now? This is where it gets interesting. For me, the standout was the bookkeeping tools. I was able to link my existing bank and credit card accounts, which took like 2 minutes, and suddenly all my transactions started auto-populating into Baselane. From there, I could categorize everything by property, and Baselane used categories based on Schedule E, which is huge for landlords come tax season. Compared to Stessa, which also has transaction tracking, I actually found Baselane's automation more intuitive. Stessa gave me info, but Baselane actually helped me understand it. Baselane also gave me real-time cash flow summaries, broken down by property and category. I didn't need to fiddle with formulas or create pivot tables. It just worked. That feature alone wiped out hours I used to spend each week. Now, about the Baselane banking checking account. When you sign up, you get access to their built-in banking. And here's what's clever. You don't have to use Baselane's account to collect rent. You can link your own. But there's a small catch. If you use an external account, they tack on a $2 ACH fee. Not a deal breaker, but it's enough of a nudge to try to keep everything in-house. Personally, I just used their checking account. It was smoother and there were no extra fees to think about. The tenant platform was another highlight of this bank account for rental property. Once I set up rent collection, my tenant got a clean invite to join their dashboard where they could view invoices and pay rent via ACH, debit, or credit card. And even better, they could enroll in autopay. So after month 1, rent just showed up on time. Like clockwork, basically. I didn't need to chase them down anymore. And if you've ever had that awkward text thread with a late paying tenant, you know how big that can be. Compared to Rent Manage, which has more of a traditional interface with separate bank account for rental properties, Baselane just feels smoother and faster. Now, If you're looking to scale, the loan program might be your next favorite thing. Baselane partners with a range of lenders to offer DSCR loans, fix and flip loans, BRRRR loans, and even construction financing in 48 states. I haven't personally taken a loan through them yet, but I went through the pre-qualification process just to see how it worked, and it was surprisingly smooth. No pushy sales calls, and the terms they showed were actually competitive with what I saw at traditional lenders. It's built into the same dashboard where your financials live, so it just fits. And then there are the little touches here and there that really just made my day-to-day smoother. I could send checks to vendors directly from the portal. Baselane prints and mails it for you for a small fee. Or you can just order a branded checkbook to keep at home. I didn't think I'd use that, but when my plumber said he only took checks, like who only takes checks nowadays, I was at least glad it was an option. Virtual cards were another smart addition that also made Baselane, I think, the best business bank account for rental property. So I could create virtual debit cards for each property or vendor, which made tracking spend ridiculously easy. It also added an extra layer of security. If I noticed anything off, I could just kill the card in one click. But let's be real, Baselane isn't flawless. Nothing is. The trade-off, though, totally worth it. When I first started, the amount of data Baselane gives you felt like overwhelming, especially if you're used to tracking everything in a simple spreadsheet. But here's the thing, I'd rather have too much information than not enough. And after just 2 days of poking around, it actually started to click. And now I'm flying through monthly reports in half the time it used to take. All right, now when it comes to cost, Baselane isn't some bare-bones freebie tool, but it's not overpriced either. It's reasonably priced for what it offers, especially when you consider how much time, stress, and money it can save you long term. For me, the biggest value wasn't in any single feature, it was in how all the features work together. Everything from incoming rent to outgoing expenses to tax-ready reports was in one clean place. Check the link in the description of this video for their current pricing plan. We'll try to keep it updated with their latest discount and promos. If you're managing rental properties and still piecing things together with spreadsheets, scattered banking accounts, and missed rent reminders, Baselane might be the upgrade you didn't know you needed. It pulls everything into one clean, easy-to-use dashboard. And the virtual cards? That's the feature I didn't expect to love, but now I can't imagine running my properties without them. Whether you're just starting with one rental or managing a growing portfolio, this might be the most landlord-friendly platform out there. Check the link in the description of this video to get started with our special discount and coupon.